This is Blake Atwood with FaithVillage.com. Today we're talking with Billy Coffey, author of Snow Day, Paper Angels, and his most recent work, When Mockingbirds Sing. But your writing definitely has that string running through it of seeing the big things in the little things. Is this something you grew up with, or is it something you grew into?
I think it's definitely something I grew up with. My mother's parents were both Amish, so I got introduced early on to the concept of simplicity, and it was a little boring, I guess, in some parts when I was young and growing up. But I learned that really to pay attention to the little details. That's what they really taught me to do, and I guess it kind of grew from that, just the big things that can happen in the little moments.
So I've seen a few reviewers compare When Mockingbirds Sing to Stephen King or Frank Peretti, and both of those authors reveal the thin line between the mundane and the supernatural. And so why do you think many of us look towards the fiction to better understand the mysterious world around us?
Yeah, I think we're all drawn to good storytelling. I think it's been that way as long as there have been people, I think. And the good thing about sort of supernatural fiction is that you get to see normal people caught up in extraordinary circumstances, and you kind of get to put yourself into that situation as you read the story, and you start wondering what you would do in that situation. And yeah, I think a good story, period, kind of serves as a mirror that the reader holds up to his own face, and so they can kind of see a reflection of themselves and what they would do.
What's your goal as an author who is also a Christian?
I'm glad that you put it that way, an author who's also a Christian as opposed to a Christian author. I think there's a big distinction there. I don't really want to be known as a Christian writer. I don't want to speak to the choir, so to speak. I want to reach kind of the broader audience, and try to I try to write my books kind of like the book of Esther in the Bible. The whole book is about God, but God is never specifically mentioned, and I kind of take that tack to it.
I can't remember if it was C.S. Lewis or G.K. Chesterton, but he had a quote about the fact that there really shouldn't be more Christian books. There should be more books about specific subjects written through the lens of Christianity.
Exactly. I completely agree with that, yeah. What
authors have influenced you in your writing?
Yeah, I don't mind calling myself a Stephen King fanboy. I think he's probably the greatest storyteller we have right now. I think he's amazing, especially just the way he writes his books. Sounds very conversational, and that's definitely something I try to emulate in my own books. Him and I would say Flannery O'Connor. I don't think anybody's ever written about the South better than she has. I think she's fantastic.
True. So, okay, let's riff off of that. Best Stephen King novel, in your opinion?
Oh, my goodness. You know what? I love The Green Mile. I think that's my favorite of his. I think it's also his most religious, really. I think it's a fantastic book.
That's my pick, too, actually. So what about best O'Connor story?
Oh, without a doubt, A Good Man Is Hard to Find. I reread that story every few months. I think it's the perfect short story.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you. Let's see. If you had 5 minutes with a room full of hopeful would-be authors, what would you tell them?
I think definitely the first thing I would tell them is to get ready for a long haul. There are really few shortcuts to being published. It took me 20 years, really, from the time I graduated from high school until I got my first book deal, and it's tough. You gotta grow a thick skin. You have to really study your craft, and you have to be the best writer you absolutely can be. And aside from that, the best advice I can give is always try one more time. You get a rejection, and send something out that very day. Always try one more time, and eventually you get there.
I always feel a little ridiculous asking this question of authors whose books have just come out, but have you already started work on your next book? And if so, are there any early details that you can share?
Yeah, actually, the next book is finished. I just have to look over the proof pages. It'll be out next March, I believe. It's called The Devil Walks in Mattingly. In a way, it's kind of a companion book to my second novel, Paper Angels. It kind of tells the second half, or the other half of that story. It's definitely my favorite so far.
Thanks a lot for your answers and for your time today, Billy.
All right, thanks, Blake.
So be sure to buy a copy of When Mockingbirds Sing in the Faith Village bookstore at store.faithvillage.com. Check out Billy's blog at billycoffey.com. That's coffee with an EY. Connect with him on Twitter at Billy Coffey. And throw him a like on Facebook at facebook.com/BillyCoffeyWriter.